In the jungles of South and Central America, there is a parasite so advanced, so calculated, that most victims never realize they've been infected until something is already growing beneath their skin. Because the most terrifying part about botflies is not what they do after entering the human body. It's how they get inside in the first place. You never see them attack. You never feel them enter. And in many cases, the fly responsible is never even near you. Instead, the botfly uses another creature to do its hunting for it. A creature humans encounter every single day. Mosquitoes. To understand how horrifying this process really is, you first need to understand something important about parasites. The most successful parasites in nature are not the strongest. They are the smartest. They survive through deception, stealth, manipulation. And few insects demonstrate that better than the human botfly. Scientifically known as Dermatobia hominis, the botfly has evolved one of the most disturbing reproductive systems ever discovered. Unlike ordinary flies that lay eggs directly onto food, water, or dead tissue, the botfly has developed something far more effective. It turns other insects into biological weapons. The process begins when the female botfly searches for a host insect, usually a mosquito, but sometimes ticks or other biting flies. Once she captures one, she doesn't kill it. She carefully attaches her eggs onto the insect's body using a natural adhesive. Tiny white eggs. Dozens of them. Then she releases the insect back into the environment. The mosquito flies away completely unaware. Still feeding, still hunting, still behaving normally. But now, it's carrying parasites. And somewhere nearby, a human is about to become infected without even knowing it. When the mosquito lands on human skin, something terrifying happens. The warmth of the body triggers the botfly eggs to hatch almost instantly. Tiny larvae emerge within seconds. And before the mosquito has even finished feeding, the larvae begin crawling toward the skin. Most people imagine parasites entering through open wounds. But botfly larvae are far more efficient than that. They can invade through mosquito bite holes, hair follicles, sweat pores, or tiny invisible openings in the skin. The victim usually feels nothing unusual. Just another mosquito bite. Another minor irritation. Nothing alarming. But beneath the surface, the invasion has already begun. Once inside the skin, the larva disappears completely. The body becomes its shelter, and immediately, it starts adapting to its new environment. The larva positions itself beneath the flesh and begins feeding on tissue fluids. Not enough to kill the host, just enough to survive and grow. Because parasites rarely want immediate death. They want stability. A living host is more valuable than a dead one. And over the next several days, a painful swelling begins forming beneath the skin. At first, victims often mistake it for an infected insect bite, a pimple, a boil, or an allergic reaction. But then strange things start happening. The swelling doesn't disappear. It grows. And at the center, a tiny hole appears. That hole serves one horrifying purpose: breathing. The larva trapped beneath the skin needs oxygen to survive. So it creates an opening to the outside world, a permanent air tube. And through that tiny hole, the parasite breathes while living inside the human body. Sometimes fluid leaks from the opening. Sometimes victims feel sudden stinging pain. And sometimes, they feel movement, a twisting sensation beneath the skin, like something alive shifting position inside the flesh. Because there is. What makes botflies particularly disturbing is how perfectly designed they are for this process. The larva's body is covered in rows of microscopic hooks pointing backward. These hooks anchor the parasite deep inside the tissue. The more it grows, the harder it becomes to remove. Trying to squeeze it out manually often fails. And forcing removal can tear the parasite apart inside the body. This creates a serious risk of bacterial infection, which means proper extraction usually requires careful medical treatment. And even that process feels like something from a horror movie. Doctors often begin by cutting off the larva's oxygen supply. They cover the breathing hole using petroleum jelly, adhesive tape, wax, oils, or thick ointments. At first, nothing seems to happen. Then eventually, the larva starts suffocating, desperate for air, slowly pushing itself upward toward the surface. And when part of the parasite finally emerges, doctors use forceps to pull it out, alive, still moving, sometimes nearly an inch long. And for many victims, Seeing the parasite removed becomes one of the most psychologically disturbing moments of their lives. Because until that moment, they could pretend it was only an infection. But once the creature emerges, the reality becomes impossible to ignore. Something was living inside them. Botfly infections occur most commonly in tropical rainforest regions. Countries like Brazil, Costa Rica, Belize, Panama, and parts of Mexico report regular cases every year. Travelers are especially vulnerable because they often don't recognize symptoms early enough. Some victims ignore the swelling for weeks. Others seek treatment only after noticing movement beneath the skin. There have even been cases where people discovered multiple larvae growing in different parts of the body at the same time. Scalp, arms, back, legs. Anywhere mosquitoes can bite. Anywhere larvae can enter. And humans are not the only victims. Botflies infest countless animals in the wild. Monkeys, dogs, birds, rodents, cattle, deer. Entire ecosystems are affected by parasitic flies. In livestock, botfly infestations can cause severe economic damage. Animals lose weight, milk production drops, open wounds become infected, weakness spreads slowly through herds. Because parasites don't need violence to dominate. Sometimes survival is more effective when it remains hidden. But perhaps the most unsettling thing about botflies is how intelligent their strategy appears. Think about what this insect is actually doing. It avoids danger by never approaching humans directly. It uses another insect as transportation. It detects body heat as a biological trigger. It infiltrates skin almost invisibly. It builds a breathing system. It anchors itself using hooks. And it feeds without immediately killing the host. Every stage is optimized. Every step refined through millions of years of evolution, not through intelligence in the human sense, but through natural selection, creating a system so efficient that it almost feels engineered. And despite how horrifying botflies appear, scientists study them very closely, because parasites reveal some of nature's most advanced survival mechanisms. Researchers use parasitic studies to better understand immune responses, wound healing, biological adaptation, tissue regeneration, and host-parasite interactions. In some cases, understanding parasites has even helped medical science improve treatments for infections and chronic wounds, which creates a strange contradiction. The same creature capable of horrifying humans also helps scientists understand life itself. But none of that changes the fear people experience once they realize what happened to them. Because botflies trigger something ancient inside the human brain. The fear of infestation. The fear of losing control over your own body. The fear that something invisible entered your skin, without permission, without warning, without you even noticing. And that fear lingers long after the parasite is removed. Every mosquito bite starts feeling suspicious. Every skin irritation feels dangerous. Every unexplained bump becomes terrifying. Because once you understand how secretly botflies infect humans, ordinary insect bites never feel harmless again. Right now, somewhere in a rainforest, another mosquito is flying through the humid air, completely unaware that tiny eggs are attached to its body, waiting. And somewhere nearby, someone is brushing insects away from their skin, believing they're avoiding the danger, not realizing the real danger was never the mosquito. The real danger was what the mosquito carried, something microscopic, something alive, something waiting for warmth, so it can begin growing beneath human flesh.